unusual when people first call me, or even just when they get to the Sarasota area, we're out driving around, looking at areas, different neighborhoods. They'll go, is Sarasota really safe? Jill, what do you think of this neighborhood? Is this a good neighborhood, or what areas should I avoid? Which ones are the bad neighborhoods? Which ones aren't safe? Well, those are all really good questions, and I understand why you ask them, but it's sort of a catch for me because I really have to be careful how I answer those questions. First of all, we're going to start maybe touching into fair housing law territory, or even just, I don't want somebody to misunderstand something I say, and even if I'm not violating fair housing laws, could come across that way. So I do want to be very, very careful and delicate about that, but I understand that you still want to know. Plus, just because I think an area is safe doesn't mean that you think it's safe, or the other way around. So in this video, I want to give you some things to think about, some resources that you can tap into to determine whether or not Sarasota or a particular area is safe according to you. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring new videos about what it's like to live here in Sarasota, moving to the state of Florida, and then of course, real estate. So if these things have been on your radar, this is the channel for you. Be sure to tap that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and keep on watching. And then when you're ready to ask more specific questions, trying to, as you navigate things, figure out if this is the right area for you to kind of replant yourself, then please give me a call, text, or email me. I'm so happy to help you out, answer your questions, help you navigate those waters as you continue to go down this journey. All right, now answering a question if a neighborhood is really safe is a very difficult one to answer. I have to be super cautious because of fair housing laws. There's something called steering, redlining, block busting. So as a real estate agent, licensed agent, or even for a lender, if we are accused of these things, somebody brings charges to us and we're found guilty, we can very easily lose our license. And so I would never do these things intentionally, but sometimes people really push and ask a lot of questions about areas and things. And a lot of times I'll do shut people down pretty quick if they do say things that are super inappropriate. But the areas that fair housing covers is race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. Hey, I remembered all 7 off the top of my head. It's pretty good. And so we have to be very careful. So I can't say, oh, well, this neighborhood's better because we have a lot of these folks here. I even had a woman come to me and say, okay, I'm Jewish. I would really like to be in a real Jewish community, lots of Jewish people. I can't help you with that. First of all, I have no clue. But second of all, that breaks fair housing. So I couldn't help her. I said, listen, I can't do that. You know, if you do research on your own and you say, oh, I think I want to be in these neighborhoods, great. But otherwise, I couldn't tell her, oh yeah, here's where all the Jewish people are. I can't say that this neighborhood's family friendly. Even saying that, we can get red flagged, we can get dinged for in our listings because it's implying that maybe a single person wouldn't be welcome there. They wouldn't feel comfortable, or another couple without any children. So that's why we have to be very, very careful on how we word things and how we approach things, because I would never want somebody to misunderstand my intention, because of course I would never do these things on purpose. So in this video, I want to help you out a bit to help you think about things to determine whether or not a community is a good fit for you, if it's an area where you would feel safe. So 2 points today. One thing is going to be super objective, and the other one, number 2, is a little bit of being subjective. But hang tight, I'll explain a bit more what I mean. All right, number 1, we're going to look at things super objectively. Now, both Sarasota and Manatee Counties have really great websites from the police department. So for Sarasota County, it's sarasotapd.org, P like in police department, sarasotapd.org, and then for Manatee County, it's manateesheriff.com. And those websites have some really great resources for you to check out, dig into, take a look at. And then also there's links from those websites to another website called crimemapping.org. crimemapping.com. So you can either go through the county's website or you can go straight to crimemapping.com if you want. And then you can look up by the city and then, or the state and then the county. And it's really nice because these little icons will pop up and say, what's been going on in an area at a location, and I'll give the date and then the type of crime that it is. And then the little icons are different based on what the crime is. So like if it's like larceny, I think it's a $. If it's burglary, it's like the little old-fashioned black eye mask. And so it's pretty understandable what that is. So I think that's an awesome resource for you to check that out. Now, if you go straight to the crimemapping.com, pull it up for Sarasota, you might look and go, oh, I feel like there's a lot of crime here. Well, maybe there is, but maybe there isn't. So then I would recommend for you to compare it to where you live right now, or maybe another area that you're familiar with. And so if you can go to that state and then that county, if it's on this website, compare it, look at the same time frame and go, oh, well, maybe you'll realize, oh, you know what? It's the same kind of level of crime, because crime's going to be everywhere. You're not going to avoid it. It's here, it's everywhere. People are people. People do silly, stupid, dumb, horrible things. So, you got to just determine, okay, what level are you willing to tolerate? So go to these sites, you can compare to where you live now, to what it's like here, and then see if it's a good fit for you. Then you can also go back, you can look like from the last week, you can look back from the last, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks is another default, or you can put in a custom date range. Now I wouldn't recommend doing a really wide date range for like a whole year or 6 months or probably even 3 months, because I think the whole map would be loaded with those little icons and it wouldn't mean anything. Because of course, over time, of course, there's gonna be, more crime. So be cautious of that. And then also remember too, that not all crimes kind of carry the same weight. It's one thing if there's a burglar compared to somebody who's got counterfeit money, to somebody who's doing a hit and run. So you also want to watch too, to see, well, what kind of crime is it around there? And that might make a difference for you as well. So as you can see, these are really concrete things. We're not breaking fair housing. We're not talking about those special categories. It's just, what is the crime in that area? How frequent is it? And what kind of crimes tend to happen in that area. So this is nice, concrete, very objective information. Now, both Manatee and Sarasota counties also have apps you can put on your cell phones. Just go to that like Apple Play Store or whatever it's called, and you can find those there. And then on those apps, they have some other really nice resources. I think the one actually still had a link to the crime mapping, so you can pull it up on your cell phone. They have information about sex offenders in the area. So let's say you're in a neighborhood looking at a house and you go, oh, I kind of like this. Quick, pull it up. Is there a sex offender living nearby? Is there a sex offender in the neighborhood? Or how far away is the closest one? And then that can give you a sense of relief. Then you might feel more safe. So those are all really good things. Those apps also have a lot of other features too that I'm not going to dig into right now, but those are nice things to consider. Now you might think, okay, Jill, this is great. So help me out here. If you could look into seeing if these neighborhoods are safe or not for me, and then let me know, or, give me a rating on 1 to 10, like where does it fall on this scale? Okay. I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to do that for you. That's something that you're going to have to do. If you need help with the technology, I'm happy to help you with it, but I'm not going to tell you what is good or what is not good, because again, I might feel safe in an area and you may not, okay? I used to have, my first house was in a neighborhood, my mom would probably be like, I don't want to live there. But I was okay with it. It didn't bother me at all. So everybody's different on where that comfort level falls. So that's only up to you to decide, and that's why we're going to jump into point 2 about being more subjective. Number 2, now let's talk about looking at things a little bit more subjectively. And you might think, well, how can I look at things subjectively but not be breaking all these laws that you're telling me about, Jill? Well, let me give you a few examples. Some people feel more comfortable or feel more safe if the community is gated. Some people feel better if it's not just gated, but there's a guard at the front. Some people do not want a gate or a guard at all. That's just not their thing. So you can see you've got several different perspectives right there. Some people do not want, they want their neighborhood to be surrounded by other residential neighborhoods. They do not want their neighborhood to be backed up to commercial property. Maybe it's a a grocery store or a gas station, restaurants or shops, or even near maybe a bus stop, something like that, because they're afraid, well, maybe there's gonna be people walking around more and I don't care for that. But then there's other people who are like, oh man, Jill, get me near those places, get me near commercial properties, get me near the bus stop. I wanna be able to walk, I wanna take public transportation. I love it that I'm in a community where people are walking around all the time and there's all this happening. And so, and maybe they feel more safe because they just like it because people are out and about and they're kind of maybe more aware of things. So those are two totally different perspectives, but it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. What do you prefer? What do you like? Another thing too is honestly, being near a school or not being near a school. Those are things that some people love it, some people don't care for it. So that's just another example. I could go on and on with more, but that just gives you an idea of things for you to think about. And then the next step for you to consider is, if you're able to drive the area, drive the specific neighborhood, if it's not gated, if you can get into it easily on your own, and then the surrounding areas, and not just do it once, but try to do it several times during the day and different days of the week. So if you do it in the morning when people are going to work and school, when people are coming home from work and school, and then in the evenings, and then do it on the weekends, because of course in the evening on a Friday and Saturday might have a different vibe than it would on a Tuesday night. So you can see what it's really like and if it's a good fit for you. And sometimes people, the more they do it, the more they realize, oh, I really like this neighborhood. At first I didn't think I would, but now I can really appreciate it. I really enjoy this. So your perspective can change, but then that kind of really helps solidify whether or not you think it's a good fit for you or not. So those things are really important to do. Now I want to tell you a story. Probably less than a mile from my house, there is an elementary school, and the elementary school is plopped right in the middle of a residential area. So there's just blocks and blocks and blocks of homes all the way around it. And I don't know what the county rule is, how close you are to the school would determine if you walk or ride the bus. But some of these schools, lots and lots of kids walk to school because of course we don't have snow and it's beautiful all year round. So, kids walk by themselves or ride their bikes by themselves, or moms or dads, walk them to school and kind of watch them. So sadly though, 3-4 years ago, a young boy was walking to school and he got hit by a driver and he was killed. Well, that's a different type of safety issue, because let's say you're in an area where kids might be walking to school and you want to be cautious. Maybe you're afraid, like, oh man, maybe my driving skills aren't what they used to be, and I don't want to put myself in that type of predicament where I could be at risk, because I know a lot of kids are going to be walking around. So you want to be safe in that way. Maybe you want to be safe as you drive around and check out neighborhoods, and think too about the traffic patterns. Some of these neighborhoods that are off of really busy roads, there's no light or anything. So you're just pulling out to the left, to the right, and just watching the traffic. And so maybe that would make you uncomfortable, and that by itself would make you feel not safe. So then that neighborhood might not be a good fit for you. So those are all these types of considerations to think about that are subjective. We're not breaking fair housing. It's just what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel safe. So these are really great things to think about. Okay, a number of years ago, I helped a younger family, had 2 little kids, buy a house. Now, these folks were cousins of very good friends of mine. That's how I met this young family, is hanging out with my friends. And so I was helping them find a house. Their cousins, my friends, knew I was house hunting with them. Now, when I am working with people and we have mutual friends, I don't talk about their business in regards to real estate with anybody else, because it's their story, it's their experience. I don't want to discuss anything, whether I'm indicating maybe a financial thing or just whatever. It's I don't know, it's their story. I want them to be the ones to be the first to share it. It shouldn't be coming from me. So once we got going in the process, I never told my friends what was going on. Get them under contract. So the night before they were going to close on a house, I saw my friends. And they go, oh, hey, we hear that they're going to close tomorrow. I said, oh yeah, isn't that exciting? They go, yeah. So why are you letting them buy in that neighborhood? And I'm like, what? Excuse me? They go, well, that's a horrible neighborhood. It's just a terrible, you should not have let them buy there. Why didn't you tell them? Didn't you warn them? I go, well, a few things. First of all, they're adults and they can, make whatever decisions they want to make. I said, second of all, they're the ones that brought it up to me, the reputation of this area, and that it does maybe have a little bit higher crime. But they told me that they used to live in downtown Atlanta or near downtown Atlanta, and this area was still a lot better than Atlanta. And so they were perfectly fine with it. They were comfortable with it. And then third of all, they did drive around quite a bit, checking out the area at different times, like I suggested. And so they were fine in the end. And so my friends were pretty unhappy with me. But again, I cannot steer them away and say, no, you can't buy there. That's a horrible decision. No. That's for them to determine, not for me. In the end, they were totally fine living there. They loved it. They actually were only there a year because they decided they wanted to move back up north to be near most of the rest of their family and their parents and things like that. So, but they fixed up the house super cute. They got it at a good price to begin with. They fixed it up real nice. And then a year later, they turned around, sold it, made, nice bit of money. And during that time, the market wasn't going crazy like it is today. So that was a blessing for them. So that's just an example of, how I have to be careful handling things, even if sometimes people, even I know I'm close to, get upset with me about stuff, but that's just one thing we have to do. As agents, we have to be very, very cautious. So to wrap this up, what do you think? Is there something else people could do to gauge the safeness of an area to them, to find an area that they would be comfortable living in? So if you have any other suggestions, please put it in the comments below. Now, I do ask that you not name out any areas and say, oh, this is a horrible area, don't live there. Or this is a great area, you should only be living in this area. Because honestly, there's a place for everybody. And I've sold in all different types of neighborhoods. And there's something for everybody out there. So be very cautious, please, in what you put in the comments below, because I will delete them if somebody's too unkind in some way. But that's why it's so good for you to have the tools to take control of the situation and feel like you can make a really good decision for yourself. And I think that's really important. And so I think with these things, with the websites, with these apps, with just driving around, thinking through what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel comfortable, and then we go from there. And I think that's a really good way to do it. We're not breaking fair housing, we're doing things the right way. So you can make a really good decision for yourself. Okay, again, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, hit the little thumbs up, and then just keep watching. I appreciate your time. And again, don't be shy. Give me a call.